Have you ever had that feeling that nothing in your life makes sense anymore? That you're just feeling stuck or disconnected from your own world? If yes, then chances are you're probably just outgrowing yourself. Hi lovelies, my name is Kushi. Welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about what happens when you start to outgrow yourself and how to navigate that space between the old and new versions of you. Feeling lost or unsure isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I think it's actually a sign that something in your belief system has changed and that you are slowly evolving into a new version of yourself. When you start to outgrow yourself, you're going to feel like you don't belong in your own world anymore. Maybe you've had a career change, maybe you're changing the type of media that you're consuming on a day to day basis, or maybe you're just partaking in new hobbies that are slowly replacing the ones that you're already doing. This discomfort happens because there is a mismatch between your internal thoughts, your belief system, your mindset, and what is in your physical world right now. Your external reality is still trying to catch up with those new beliefs that you've installed, which is causing this disconnect between you and your world. In order for your physical reality to now match your internal perception, your brain has to reorganize itself to facilitate for these changes, which is why it takes a while to adjust and why you're going to feel that disconnect in this stage. And it's not always a smooth transition either, because you might start to just suddenly feel discomfort in your old habits, your old spaces, old relationships. This new growth can happen slowly and gradually to where we're not consciously aware of it, or it can happen randomly and out of the blue. Like you can wake up and all of a sudden you feel like you're just in a different timeline now. Brain is always changing and adapting to new experiences and behaviors, especially if you're in your teens and early 20s, because these years are really crucial for brain development and psychological maturation as well. So it's really common to experience this discomfort and isolation during these years. And I think that's why people always say that your 20s are the decade where you're really finding yourself and you're meant to be trying new and different things and learn different things as well. When we are in this in between phase of old self versus new self, it can cause a lot of emotions to purge, and this is due to the limbic system, which is the part of the brain that is responsible for emotions and regulating them as well as regulating behaviors. So, the limbic system and the prefrontal cortex work together to help you form your new identity and help match your external reality to your internal perceptions. And the prefrontal cortex is also a really important part of the brain because it is responsible for impulse control, decision making, and planning. As many of you may have heard, that the frontal lobe, which encompasses the prefrontal cortex, doesn't actually fully develop until mid 20s to your early 30s, which also explains why identity changes and internal growth are very common in this age range. All of this just goes to show that there is a lot that is happening beneath the surface that we can't see, and also that it just goes beyond a spiritual perspective, because that's a lot of what I like to talk about and share, but I also really do enjoy the neuroscience aspect of it and kind of seeing how the two correlate and connect. It is not easy at all to feel the discomfort of not fitting into your own world anymore. I know that feeling very well. I've experienced it a lot, but I think that I've learned to navigate it better. And so I'm going to share a couple of things that I do to help me get through this phase. Okay, so the first thing that I do is I try to accept and embrace that I am in this transition phase. I try to tell myself that this is just a phase in my life right now, and soon enough I will come out of it stronger and become a better version of myself. I also like to think about that future version of me and try to look forward to becoming that version. And so that kind of changes my perspective a little bit and it makes me more excited and I feel more positive about being in this in between period because I know that after I go through it, it's gonna get better for me. The second thing that I try to do is practice patience by reminding myself that it is going to take a little bit of time to adapt and adjust to becoming a new person or a new version of myself, and that it's going to be uncomfortable. Like some things are going to be uncomfortable. There may be some things that I don't align with anymore or that I feel differently about, but it'll take a little bit of time to adapt to that. I also use that time to go inward and reflect on my thoughts, how I'm feeling, and where I'm at to kind of get a better understanding of myself. Third thing is sometimes I just cry it out. Sometimes that's the only thing that I need to do, and I need to get it out of my system. I need to have that cathartic release of emotions, and sometimes that's the only way that I can really express my discomfort. And so for me, crying it out, it's therapeutic and it just gives me a second to really just like feel what I'm feeling and to take it all in instead of just intellectualizing what's going on and trying to make sense of it. Because I feel like a lot of times we just try to intellectualize our feelings and make sense of them and how they fit into like our world and our mind, but very few times do I think that we actually like feel these emotions. And I have a lot of trouble with this as well, but eventually I do come around to feeling my emotions and it acts as a release for me and then I feel a lot better afterward. The last thing that I do to help me navigate through this transition period is I try to zoom out and I look at the bigger picture where I'm at in this situation and just kind of see the grand scheme of things. This kind of allows me to look at my situation and where I'm at from a different angle and a different lens, and hopefully I can gain a new perspective and use that to encourage and motivate myself to just like push through and just keep going. When I reframe my mindset like that, I'm more willing to accept the uncertainty of what's next and I'm more willing to step into that unknown. If you are feeling lost in your life, please know that you are not alone. This is a very common experience that everybody feels. It's completely okay to feel confused and lost and unsure of where you're headed next. Just slow down, take a deep breath, and take it as a sign that you are going through a positive change. It will take you to someplace better. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Bye-bye.